I only got round to watching this fight this morning, Kubrat Pulev versus Bogdan Dinu. Now, I saw several comments in my Facebook group from different members who were saying that Pulev had a lot of trouble in this fight. They were saying that they were quite impressed with Dinu, that he had solid skills. And again, the impression that they were given was that it was all there for Dinu to win this fight. But somehow I even saw some of them saying Dinu must have been paid to lose, because it was very strange the way that he was controlling the action, and then all of a sudden he just capitulated. Now, I think we've all been guilty at some stage in our experience as boxing fans of being caught up in the moment a little bit too much. I think at some stage as boxing fans, we've all been guilty of this, at one time or another. And you can see fights as being a lot more dramatic when you're watching them live than they actually are when you watch them a second time when all the dust has settled. And perception plays a big part in it as well. If you are expecting a Kubrat Pulev to go in there and dispatch of Dinu in 1 or 2 rounds and barely get hit, then the fact it actually took him, 7 rounds, and he got cut, and he did get rocked a bit in the fight. The fact that that happened, in your mind, it can make you think that the fight is more dramatic than it actually is, because every decent shot that Dinu lands, you're thinking, oh my God, he shouldn't be landing decent shots. He's winning the fight. But no, sometimes we get caught up in the excitement of the moment and the unexpected nature, because our perception of the way the fight was going to turn out was very different from the reality. And I think that that's what's happened here with some people in my Facebook group with regards to Kubrat Pulev's performance, because obviously I didn't watch it live and I knew the result before watching it. So I didn't, wasn't watching it with any kind of excitement. I was just watching it in the cold light of day. And I actually felt that Kubrat Pulev controlled this fight from start to finish. Other than that brief moment, was it in the 4th round, where Dinu landed a nice right hand, which caused a terrible cut over Kubrat Pulev's left eye. Other than that moment where he did kind of rock Pulev and he had him up against the ropes and he was throwing some combinations, other than that, I thought that Kubrat Pulev was well in control of this fight. I didn't see the shock, the horror, and the drama that a lot of people were alluding to. But again, if I was watching a fight live, maybe I would have got caught up in the moment. I try not to, because I do know that this is something that often happens with boxing fans. And this is another reason why a lot of the time these days, I don't like to score fights live. I like to score the fight the second time I watch it, rather than watching it live, So, yeah, to me, Kubrat Pulev was well in control. Had a brief moment there where he got caught and got rocked a little bit, but he got back in control. And then he finished the fight in the 7th round, dropped Dinu 3 times. Dinu actually tried to quit. The first knockdown, Pulev was very, very naughty. Dinu went down and Pulev landed not only a punch in the back of the head, but a punch in the back of the head when Dinu was on the canvas. Very, very poor stuff from Pulev to be doing that to an opponent. All right. He's not the first fighter who's done it, and I'm sure he won't be the last, but you don't like to see stuff like that. But Dinu tried to quit at that point, but the officials insisted that he get up, and he eventually did. There were 2 more knockdowns, and this time the referee waved it off. Dinu crumbled and went out with a whimper. He didn't really get hit with huge concussive blows. And again, people are saying that that is an indication that somehow the fight was fixed. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion, because Dinu against Jarrell Miller didn't appear to have much spirit for battle. He might just be one of those guys who doesn't have that much heart. Yeah, some fighters have ability, and Dinu is clearly pretty well schooled, and he has pretty fast hands for a big guy. But if you don't have the intestinal fortitude, if you don't have that inner fire which burns in every top level fighter, then that's how you're going to react when you're put under pressure. So maybe Dinu just isn't a very strong-willed character. Like a Gerald Washington, for example. Another guy who's just doesn't have that fight in him. You know, maybe Dinu's got even less fight in him than Gerald Washington. So I wouldn't be so quick to say that this was some type of fixed fight. To me, I just suspect that Dinu, as I say, doesn't really have that much spirit for battle. And that once Kubrat Pulev overcame the cut, Dinu felt like, oh my God, if this guy still landed punches on me and he still got confidence when I've cut him, then there's no point in me staying in here. You know, I need to check out the first opportunity I get because I can't appear to really keep this guy off of me. So I suspect that's what happened. I didn't think it was such a bad performance by Kubrat Pulev. I thought he did all right there. Other than that one moment when he got clipped. And his team is now with Top Rank, Bob Arum. They say they're going to push for his mandatory shot against Anthony Joshua. He's been mandatory for Joshua forever, it seems, right? Or maybe this isn't the first time he's been mandatory for Joshua. Maybe this is the second time. In fact, it is. It's the second time he's been mandatory. The first time he was mandatory for Joshua, he didn't want it. You remember that? He pulled out and they put Carlos Takam in there instead. And in fact, before that Takam fight, several months or maybe even a year before, they were talking about putting Pulev in with Joshua. I remember when Eddie Hearn was in an arena somewhere in Germany and he saw Kubrat Pulev there and he said, do you not want to fight Joshua? Like, what's going on? So Pulev has never seemed very, urgent to fight Anthony Joshua. I don't know whether he's concerned about Joshua. I'm not sure if he's actually sparred Joshua. Because there was talk about Pulev sparring Joshua years ago when Joshua was still a prospect coming up. I'm not sure if they did spar and if they did, what happened. But yeah, Pulev has never seemed very keen on fighting AJ. Will he be keen this time? I mean, he's 37 years old. Where else is he going to go? I mean, what does he want, a shot at Wilder? Is that the route he's trying to go? Maybe that's a better route for him. I mean, how do you guys think Kubrat Pulev would fare against Deontay Wilder? I actually think he has the potential to give Wilder some serious problems because Kubrat Pulev technically is good. Yeah, he's got a very good jab. He is a smart boxer. He's good at long range. He's got good feet. He knows when to attack and when to defend. From a technical point of view, the one criticism I've always had about Pulev is that he loops his right hand a little bit. He doesn't throw it perfectly straight. And because of that, there's a tell on the right hand, the way he throws it. His opponents are able to block it quite easily. They're able to see it and block it quite easily. There's a tell on it. He loops it round. It would be much better if he was able to develop a straight right hand. But at 37 years old, I don't think he can. Maybe he has an issue with his elbow or something, and that's why he never throws it properly straight. Particularly for an Eastern European fighter, most of them throw right hands very, very straight. But Kubrat Pulev is one of those guys who has just a slight loop, a slight bend on his right hand, and it misses very, very frequently or is blocked very frequently. And that's been the case throughout his career. He's had far more success with his jab than he's had with his right hand. So, and obviously he's not an inside fighter and stuff like that, Kubrat Pulev. He is what he is. He's an outside guy. He has the stereotypical old school Eastern European style, which isn't the prettiest to look at, but it is effective against a lot of guys. I mean, if you look at Kubrat Pulev's performance against Derek Chisora, he beat Chisora a lot more comfortably than Dylan White did in both fights. Even though he didn't stop Chisora, I mean, tell me how many rounds Kubrat Pulev lost against Chisora. Very few, if any. All right. So he's a good fighter, not the most exciting guy you've seen, but he's effective. And I personally think he would be a difficult fight for Deontay Wilder. I'm not saying I would pick him against Wilder, but I think it's difficult. I think he could make Wilder look pretty ordinary, maybe. So anyway, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you felt about Kubrat Pulev's performance against Bogdan Dinu. Were you impressed? Were you one of those people who felt like Dinu had a chance to win the fight and he was better than you expected and that Pulev really struggled here? Or were you somebody like me who felt like, you know what, Pulev actually was in control other than that brief moment in the fourth where he got clipped and cut, he was in control of the fight and never really in any serious danger of losing it. So yeah, let me know which side of the fence you sit on. Drop your comments in the comment section below. And also let me know how you think Kubrat Pulev would fare against Anthony Joshua if he decides to finally take that fight. Because that fight has been offered to him so many times over the years. Let's see if he actually takes it this time. And how would he fare against AJ? I actually felt that Pulev was a more difficult fight for AJ than Takam. But when Pulev pulled out, a lot of people were happy with Takam as the replacement. Whereas I was like, I think Pulev was a more awkward fight for AJ, to be honest, than Takam. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel in the comments. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.